All right, so this is a bit of a follow-up that I had on a video that I did recently talking about The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and the Nintendo Switch in Japan kind of freezing out or making people forget about the PlayStation 5 in Japan. And now we have a little bit more evidence of that actually happening in addition to a bunch of other stuff, big leaks when it comes to RPGs, big new games influenced by Metroid Dread and Final Fantasy. So there is a lot to get into, but let's get into this first topic with The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and what's going on in Japan, because there is a lot of interesting information that was revealed in the recent Japanese sales. So The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is an absolute mega hit. We're seeing types of, I would say, residual sales, or we're seeing types of legs that we've never seen for a Zelda game before. This is by far the best opening that Zelda's done by a country mile, and it looks like it's having a ripple effect across Japan when it comes to what people are actually buying, excited for, hyped, whatever the case is, because there was another big Japanese game that came out that went head to head against The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and it actually got snuffed out to the point to where physical sales wise, not counting digital, it actually got beaten out by the game that was so much worse on a worse install base back in 2016. So what you guys can see right here is The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. It sold another 78,602 units. It sold over 1.5, almost 1.6 million physical only in Japan, not including the large amount of digital sales that we've already seen Nintendo report for that first 3 days, over 1 million units in Japan. It's still the #1 game in Japan as well. But then you also see Street Fighter 6, which came out on the PS5 and the PS4, and I think also it came out physically in Japan on the Xbox Series, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But either way, the main console editions are PS4 and PS5, and as you can see right here, 21,192 units and also 12,078 units. That is a total for Street Fighter 6, which had a really incredible 10 out of 10, or more like 40 out of 40 perfect score in Famitsu. I mean, that's only 33,270 units. Now, the game is more of a Western-based game in terms of the sales at this point. However, those sales were lower than the 40,000 plus that Street Fighter 5 did on the PS4 back in 2016. And obviously Street Fighter 6 has a much bigger install base because you have the PS4 and you also have the PS5 all the way down in 2023. So is that a ripple effect of the Nintendo Switch? Even if you go back and you look at the Famitsu or Media Create sales back in 2016, you saw that there was so much more PlayStation games at that point. And then if you look at it at this point now with the Nintendo Switch, is just dominating the top 30. So it's very interesting to see. And like I said, it's a little bit of a follow-up on what I talked about when it comes to The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and the Nintendo Switch, kind of making people forget about the PlayStation 5 or even PlayStation brand in Japan, because we have another pretty much sweep. There are a couple PS5 titles. Gran Turismo did make it back into the top 20 there, so that's definitely good. But overall, looks like Tears of the Kingdom hype and Tears of the Kingdom sales continue to push along, and even when new releases come out, big releases like Street Fighter 6, I mean, it's just kind of quelled when it comes to the reception. Now, once again, the digital sales could be higher on the PlayStation in Japan. That's definitely something that is or could be a thing. People are probably downloading digital way more now at this point than back in 2016 with Street Fighter 5. But I was a little surprised that Street Fighter 6 didn't do considerably better, or at least a good bit better than what we saw with Street Fighter 5, considering all the different factors here, even with just physical sales numbers. But I do think The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is continuing to suppress a lot of other games. People are just opting to buy a Switch and buy Tears of the Kingdom over other things. And also, if you look at like the actual physical hardware sales, once again, the Nintendo Switch, this old system going on its 7th year, 7th actual year would be next year, but calendar year, it's in its 7th year from 2017. And you're looking at that, over 88,000 units sold. Combined to the next highest would be the PlayStation 5 at 35,000, so doubling it up plus. So very interesting to see how Tears of the Kingdom is affecting the overall Japanese landscape when it comes to games. It's actually pushing other games to be higher as well. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is back into the top 10, actually number 7 here as well, which has been selling up there when it comes to it ever since Tears of the Kingdom came out. Also, I do want to give a shout out to Etrian Odyssey. That game actually had a pretty good debut in Japan, considering the price of it. 38,656 units. Physical only with that. So very good for Etrian Odyssey. Atlas definitely rolling in that remaster cash when it comes down to it. Now, speaking of Atlas, we got a big leak here, guys, because two big Nintendo Switch, Xbox, PlayStation games were leaked, and they're probably both going to be announced at the Xbox Showcase, considering the leak at the end in terms of what it says. So, Persona 3 Reload and Persona 5 Tacticia. Now, we've got two games here, guys. We've got a Persona 3 remake called Reload and Persona 5 Tactics. It's spelled with the A at the end. But either way, both of these were leaked by Atlas themselves, because they do this to themselves often when it comes down to it, because they did just leak their own announcements. I think it was like on their Instagram page or one of their social media pages. Got taken down quickly, but the internet, nothing's ever actually erased, because people were able to swipe that up and put it out there. And I don't think they're actually issuing like DMCAs or anything like that. I think the cat is out of the bag at this point, which we kind of already saw. But let's talk about this, because both games look to be pretty good, with Persona 3 Reload looking absolutely incredible and the Persona Tactics game looking okay for what it is. So Atlas West has published the full announcement trailers for Persona 3 Reload and Persona 5 Tacticia, a remake of Persona 3 and a Persona 5 themed strategy RPG that, as Gamatsu understands, are scheduled to be announced at the Xbox Games Showcase 2023 on June 11th. The trailers were accidentally uploaded recently to the company's Instagram account. So according to the trailers, Persona 5 Tacticia will launch first on November 17, 2023, followed by Persona 3 Reload in early 2024. Both games are listed as coming to Xbox Series, Xbox One, and PC via the Microsoft Store, as well as Xbox Game Pass. These are likely simply the Microsoft branded trailers, as Gamatsu understands that both games will be available across multiple platforms. And yeah, that's something that a lot of the Persona leakers and people that have put out there, a lot of you guys have been asking me, are these games going to come to the Switch? Oh no, what is this? It's like, guys, chill, just relax. I mean, I think that it will be. If anything, it's definitely on PlayStation. There's no way that they were able to get all this as exclusives for Xbox. There's no way Atlas do that, because you'd be mortgaging money. You'd be hemorrhaging money if you did that. So I do think that it's going to come to multiple platforms. I do think that they're using whatever engine they already have. It's not like they're making some type of huge, big, you know, Xbox Series and PlayStation 5 engines only for this, because this is on Xbox One as well. They're doing it on Xbox One, and obviously if you look at the tactics game for Persona, nothing too crazy there. But the game that I want to talk about is Persona 3 Reload. That is the full remake of Persona 3, and it looks incredible. Obviously looks a lot like Persona 5. They're using the same engine for that, and yeah, some people are saying, oh, it looks like an asset flip and stuff like that, but Persona 5 is still very good looking. Persona 5 is still awesome, and it still retains that Persona 3 feel with the colors and everything like that from what I've seen. Now, we still have to wait on all the content in there and get more details on what's going to be included from the multiple versions of Persona 3, but I like what I'm seeing so far, because I think that it's going to be a clear upgrade over the Persona 3 version that we got recently with Persona 3 Portable. It's definitely going to be an upgrade over that. If you have Game Pass, it's going to be cool to play, but I do think having it portable on the Nintendo Switch is also going to be very cool to play something like this. I'm actually down to play this, because I've already played Persona 5 multiple times at this point, so I wasn't as excited. It was cool to see it, you know, but I wasn't trying to play through it again another time, because I already played through it twice on the PS4 when it comes to Royal and all that. But it's the first time we've seen a remake of Persona 3 in this type of style, so I'm actually excited to play this. Now, the tactics game, cool, but Persona 3 Reload, that is what I'm super excited to play. I think that it's going to be a lot of fun and really well done based off of what they've shown here. So Atlas leaked it, but hey, it is what it is. It's coming, guys. It'll be at the Xbox show. I'll be streaming it. It'll be this Sunday. Make sure you hit the notification bell. Make sure you subscribe. All of that, because I will be streaming that show, and it should be a lot of fun. Now, let's go ahead and get into something else that looks like a lot of fun, because we've got some clear Metroid Dread-inspired titles. I love to see this. Now, obviously, these games are probably being worked on as Metroid Dread was being developed. I'm pretty sure it wasn't because of it, but there's some clear influence of the high-quality 2D game, that 2.5D high quality, modern and looking graphics that you can make and still have fun. I love this. We've got Sonic Superstars and we've also got Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown. I haven't been as excited for these two old franchises that have been around for decades. I haven't been as excited in decades for a game like this or games like this when it comes to both of these franchises. So let's first start off with Sonic Superstars. It's coming to everything. Xbox, it's coming to PlayStation, it's coming to PC, Switch, and it's going to be this fall, $59.99. There was some confusion on the price, but no, it's a $60 game. And here is the overview of it because it's pretty cool. So, new thrills, classic feels. Adventure through the mystical North Star Islands in this all-new take on the classic 2D Sonic high-speed action platforming. Play as Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Amy Rose, and harness all new Emerald powers to move and attack in dynamic new ways. Navigate gorgeous, never-before-seen environments, solo or with up to 3 players, and stop Dr. Eggman, Fang, and a mysterious new adversary from converting the island's giant animals into badniks before it's too late. That classic, gotta save the animals, love it. So here are the key features. A new spin on a classic. The 2D Sonic high-speed side-scrolling action platforming you know and love, reimagined with fully 3D graphics, new powers and abilities in all new setting, and new ways to play. You've never played classic Sonic like this before? Play as your favorite characters, choose from Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Amy Rose, and take advantage of their unique abilities to blaze a path across the North Star Islands as they race to defeat Dr. Eggman, who is teamed up with his old nemesis, Fang. Harness the power of the Chaos Emeralds, multiply, swim up waterfalls, change form, and more with the powers of the Chaos Emeralds. More friends, more fun. For the first time ever in a Sonic game, play through the entire campaign with up to 3 other players and drop in, drop out 4-player local cooperative play. So there will not be online play with this one. They're definitely kind of saving the money on that one, kind of penny pinching a little bit, but I get it. It's probably a more engaging experience if you play right there with family and friends. So yes, this is exciting. Like, this is an exciting Sonic game for me, at least. I have not been excited about a Sonic game since the ill-fated Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric. That made me just never get excited for Sonic games, and that was like a decade ago. So now we actually have something that actually is getting me excited because it's the classic 2D Sonic. Now, yes, I grew up with the classic 2D Sonic, and I do like classic 2D Sonic more than I like the 3D games or anything like that. Give me Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, Sonic and Knuckles. I love those games, and this game seems to be a modern take on that, which they should have done a while ago, but I guess you can say Sonic 4, but that was episodic, it was silly. This is what it's about. Sonic Generations wasn't bad, but there were some issues, but that wasn't bad. But either way, this is what I'm talking about. I love Sonic Superstars and the style and vibe that they're going. Now, we gotta wait and see if it's good, but based off of what I'm seeing so far, this seems like a solid, classic 2D adventure made modern like Metroid Dread, which is great. That's what we need. We need more of that. And Metroid Dread so that you can be successful. 3 million plus units, let's go, man. So I think that this is going to be awesome. Now, speaking of that, right, we're talking about classics made new. Very good on Ubisoft's front here because Prince of Persia is back, and not the remake of Prince of Persia, Sands of Time. We're still waiting on that, but something to me that actually looks way better, and that is Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown. And that has been announced for PlayStation, Xbox Series, Xbox One, Switch, PC, and even Luna, so you can just stream it without a system at all. And Amazon Luna actually works better than you would think that it would work. So Ubisoft, and this game is absolutely, in my opinion, directly influenced by Metroid Dread. There's even some sequences that are very much like Metroid Dread, especially one of the beginning boss battles, which you guys have already seen or obviously will see in the footage. Publisher Ubisoft and developer Ubisoft Montpellier have announced Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown for PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, PC, Epic Game Store, Ubisoft Store, and Luna. Yes, it's coming to everything. It will launch on January 18th, 2024. So I wish it was this year, but hey, early next year, not a problem there. So here's a little bit more about the game. Dash into a stylish and thrilling action-adventure platformer set in a mythological Persian world where the boundaries of time and space are yours to manipulate. Here are the key features. Unleash your inner warrior. Use your time powers, combat, and platforming skills to perform deadly combos and defeat time-corrupted enemies and mythological creatures. Acquire and equip new amulets at shopkeepers to play as you see fit. Discover a cursed Persian-inspired world filled with bigger-than-life landmarks. Explore a variety of highly detailed biomes, each with its own identity, wonders, and dangers. Use your wits to solve puzzles and complete quests to learn more about this corrupted place. Live an epic adventure. Immerse yourself into a Persian mythological fantasy through an intriguing and original story. Cross paths with colorful characters to better unravel the mysteries of Mount Q. Embark on a carefully crafted experience. Enjoy high-quality graphics, immersive cinematics, and fresh artistic direction, along with a unique gameplay fluidity thanks to 60 frames per second rate on all platforms. Okay. So that is definitely a good thing, because obviously with some of these, especially with Switch owners, we're used to sometimes even getting 2D side-scrolling games like Bloodstained Ritual of the Night in at 30 frames per second for no actual reason. But Ubisoft has made sure that this game, 60 frames per second on all platforms. So very important for a game like this, but really there's no excuse, right? If you look at Metroid Dread and that game, that's 60 frames per second as well. This game looks graphically very similar when it comes to, in terms of the ambition and stuff like that, very similar. And I would not be surprised if they literally looked at Metroid Dread and said, we can do something like this and we can make a lot of money. You know, so this is absolutely great because there's so many things, even abilities that are ripped straight from Dread and obviously previous other Metroidvania games and stuff like that. But man, if this wasn't inspired by it, I don't know what is, but that's good. I wanted to see the fallout in terms of that. I felt, and I actually talked about this in my live streams, that we could actually see other games inspired by the success of Dread in terms of companies going back, taking a classic IP, making it look a lot better, and doing it 2D. You don't need to have every single game, big 3D game every time. This Prince of Persia game is the most exciting Prince of Persia game that I have seen in a while, for me at least. I wasn't as big of a fan of the 3D action game Prince of Persias that were out there. I never really went out there and tried to buy them day one. I always just rented them. But this is a day one for me. Probably buying it physical on the PS5 or Xbox Series plus the Switch version as well. So I'm very excited for this. I think this is going to be really, really good. And shout outs to Ubisoft for making something like this and putting it on all platforms. And once again, 60 frames per second on all platforms, making sure that you have quality across the board there. But speaking of quality across the board, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Once again, the big ending announcement from the Summer Games Fest. Most of these games that we're talking about, Summer Games Fest stuff. Big announcement. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth launches early 2024 on two Discaroos. We've got a new gameplay trailer. We've got screenshots over at Gamatsu. And we've got more information. Man, there is a lot of stuff here. So here's an overview of this beautiful looking game. So Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is the second entry in the Final Fantasy VII Remake project, which retells the story of the iconic Final Fantasy game that redefined the RPG genre in 3 distinct games. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth picks up with the iconic heroes Cloud, Barret, Tifa, Aerith, and Red 13 after they escape from the dystopian city Midgar and sees them embark on a journey in pursuit of Sephiroth, the vengeful swordman from Cloud's past who was thought to be dead. In this standalone adventure, players will explore an expansive world all brought to life with a new level of graphical fidelity developed specifically to leverage the power of the PlayStation 5 console. As players unravel a gripping narrative rich with mysteries to uncover, they will also witness the personal journey of each party member and strengthen their bonds to work together and face off against powerful enemies. Quote, "We're honored to bring Final Fantasy VII Rebirth to players around the world early next year," said producer Yoshinori Kitase in a press release. In this next installment of this thrilling tale, Cloud and his friends, both new and returning, will embark on a new adventure so all players can enjoy this story, even those without any familiarity with the previous title or the original Final Fantasy VII. The entire team has worked fervently with love and adoration for the world of Final Fantasy VII to deliver an unforgettable experience for new adventurers and longtime fans alike, reaching new heights of the cinematic storytelling, immersive and fast-paced combat, and rich exploration across a vast world. We can't wait to share more details later this year. Now, Square Enix also shared a number of developer comments on the official Twitter page. They talked about how the game is more open. They talked about how this is just a bigger game. They talked about how players are going to be able to team up with old friends, and it's going to be cohesive, and it's not going to be so claustrophobic, and that's what I like. I like the fact that it's going to be a bigger, more expansive game. You're going to have your party members. Looks like they're all going to be there, maybe with some parts like where you go away and different things, but it's going to be more of that experience that you would expect from a Final Fantasy RPG. I love the blue sky. I love the open-ended areas. I mean, it looks a little bit empty for right now at this point, but I'm pretty sure once we get closer, they'll fill it in and things will be a little bit better with that. But it looks like it's going to be a ton of fun. Yes, it's not as surprising as Final Fantasy VII Remake, because it was the first time that we saw Cloud and we saw everybody in those graphics and everything. And yes, they're kind of just taking that engine and taking what they did, Unreal Engine 4, and taking that and kind of taking it to the next level with PS5. But I think they're using a lot of the overhead to render the world and render obviously the 60 frames per second and stuff like that. Those are going to be what you're really going to notice when you play the game, is the openness of the game being built for the PlayStation 5, the speed of that. So I think it's going to be really good when it launches. And I'm actually looking forward to this game a bit more than Final Fantasy 16, because this is going to have more of that classic RPG feel, more than Final Fantasy 16 being more of like a Devil May Cry style of game with a Final Fantasy narrative and setting and all that, with something kind of new. Still both going to be great games, don't get me wrong. I'm going to be playing the heck out of Final Fantasy 16, but Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth looks absolutely incredible. But what are your thoughts on this, guys? Because there was a lot of great games from the Summer Games Fest, a lot of great games coming up. I think it's a very exciting time in gaming at this point. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Of course, hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click the notification bell, and check out our other videos right here on screen. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you for the next video. Peace.